My name is Naomi, and for 12 years, I believed I was a loved wife. I believed the man sleeping beside me every night chose me. I believed our marriage was real. I believed the smiles, the promises, the vows. But the night I stood in that cold government office, holding a brown envelope with shaking hands, I realized something that made my knees weak. I was never his wife in the way I thought. I was just part of his marriage scam. Before I go on, please listen to me closely. If you enjoy real-life emotional stories like this, stories about love, betrayal, and shocking truths, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and turn on your notification bell so you never miss another story. Also, tell me in the comments, what country are you watching from? I really want to know where my family is listening from. Now let me take you back to the moment everything broke. The woman behind the desk did not look angry. She did not look surprised either. She just looked tired. She flipped through the file, adjusted her glasses, and said calmly, "Ma'am, you are not legally his only wife." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it sounded too stupid to be true. "What do you mean?" I asked. "We have been married for 12 years. I have pictures. I have witnesses. I have children." She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "But according to our records, your husband has 3 active marriages, all registered in different states, under different names." The room began to spin. I felt my chest tighten, like someone had tied a rope around my heart. 3. I whispered. No, that's not possible." She slid the file across the table. Inside were photocopies of marriage certificates. Different women. Different dates. Different addresses. But the same face. His face. That was the moment I realized the man I loved had turned my life into a lie. And just as I opened my mouth to scream, the scene faded in my mind, because this is not where the story really began. Let me take you back. Back to when I first met him. I was 26 years old. I worked long hours, saved carefully, and dreamed of a peaceful home. Then he walked into my life like a blessing. He was gentle, soft-spoken, always smiling. He listened when I talked. He remembered small things about me. He prayed with me. He told me I was different from other women. "I want a wife," he said one night, holding my hands. "Not just a woman. A partner. A forever." Those words melted my heart. When he proposed, I cried so hard I could barely speak. Everyone said I was lucky. My friends said, men like him don't exist anymore. My family said, he treats you like gold. And he did. At least, that's what it looked like. Our wedding was small but beautiful. He insisted on handling most of the arrangements. "I want to surprise you," he said. "Just trust me." I trusted him. I trusted him when he said the marriage certificate would be processed later. I trusted him when he said his job required him to travel often. I trusted him when he sometimes disappeared for days, then returned with gifts and sweet apologies. "This work is stressful," he would say. "I'm doing all this for us." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? I was his wife. The first crack appeared in our 3rd year of marriage. I found a phone hidden inside his car. It was not locked. There was one message on the screen. "Did you land safely, my husband?" My heart dropped. When I confronted him, he did not panic. He smiled. "That's my cousin," he said. "She jokes like that." I wanted to believe him. So I did. Years passed. We had children. We built a routine. We built a life. But something always felt off. He never posted me online. He avoided family gatherings. He refused joint accounts. He insisted everything be done in cash. Whenever I asked questions, he would say, "Why are you doubting me? Don't you trust your own husband?" And just like that, I would feel guilty. The real turning point came 2 months ago. A woman called me by mistake. "Is this Naomi?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. There was silence on the line. Then she said slowly, I think we are married to the same man. I laughed at first. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. She mentioned his other name. A name I had never heard before. That phone call is what led me to the government office. That is why I was sitting in front of that tired woman with the file. That is why my whole world was falling apart. And just as I was about to ask her how long he had been doing this, her phone rang. She looked at the screen, then looked up at me. Ma'am, she said carefully. There is something else in this file. Something you really need to see. She opened a new page. My breath stopped. Because what I saw next was far worse than multiple marriages. And it proved that I was never loved at all. I was used. The woman's finger rested on the paper like it was something dangerous. I leaned forward slowly, my heart beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. What is it? I asked. Please, just tell me. She took a deep breath. This marriage, she said, tapping the document, was not about love. It was part of a pattern. A pattern. That word hit me harder than everything else. She turned the file so I could see clearly. There were pages and pages of records. Dates, locations, names. Some were crossed out. Some were highlighted in red. He marries women who are working, she continued. Women who are responsible. Women who can support a home. My mouth went dry. And then? I asked. And then he slowly connects himself to their finances. Their documents. Their properties. Their credit. I felt cold all over. No, I whispered. Not my husband. He wouldn't do that. She looked at me gently. Ma'am, she said, how many times did he ask you to sign papers without explaining them? My stomach dropped. I remembered. The bank forms. The business registration. The family investment papers. I trusted him, I said, my voice breaking. He said it was for us. She nodded. That's what they all say. I walked out of that office feeling like I was floating outside my body. Cars passed. People laughed. Life continued. But my life had stopped. I sat in my car for almost an hour without starting the engine. 12 years. 12 years of cooking for him. Praying for him. Defending him. 12 years of believing I was chosen. I wasn't chosen. I was selected. That night, I went home like nothing was wrong. I smiled. I served dinner. I helped the children with homework. He walked in late, as usual. You're quiet today, he said casually. I'm tired, I replied. He kissed my forehead. That kiss made my skin crawl. Later that night, when he was asleep, I did something I had never done before. I checked his bag. Inside, I found 3 phones. Not 1. 3. My hands shook as I turned them on. Each phone had a different name saved as me. Each phone had messages that sounded exactly like the ones he sent me. You are my peace. You are the only woman I love. I can't wait to come home. I felt sick. I opened one photo gallery. Wedding pictures. Not mine. Another wedding. Different woman. Same smile. Same suit. Same lies. The next morning, I did not confront him. I needed to understand how deep this went. So I called the number of the woman who had called me earlier. She answered immediately. Naomi? She asked softly. Yes, I said. We need to talk. We met at a small cafe far from my neighborhood. She looked just like me. Tired eyes. Careful smile. Strong, but broken. How long have you been married? She asked. 12 years, I said. Her face went pale. Mine is 10. Another woman joined us 30 minutes later. Then another. By the end of the meeting, there were 4 of us. 4 wives. None of us knew about the others. Each of us thought we were special. Each of us paid bills, supported businesses, signed documents. One woman started crying. He told me his first wife died, she sobbed. He said I helped him heal. Another whispered. He told me he was faithful. He made me promise never to doubt him. I sat there in silence, because suddenly, everything made sense. The travels, the secrecy, the anger when questioned. This was not a mistake. This was a system. That evening, I went back home and watched him closely. The way he spoke on the phone in low tones. The way he stepped outside to take calls. The way he smiled while lying. "How was your day?" he asked. "Fine," I replied. He had no idea. No idea that the woman standing in front of him was waking up. 2 days later, I received a call from the bank. "Ma'am," the man said politely, "there is an issue with a loan attached to your name." "What loan?" I asked. There was silence. "A business loan," he said. "Signed 5 years ago." My heart stopped. "That's impossible," I said. "I never took a loan." "You signed as a guarantor," he replied. I dropped the phone. I remembered that day clearly. He had rushed me. "Just sign here," he said. "It's only a formality." That loan was massive. And it was unpaid. That night, I finally confronted him. I stood in the living room with the bank documents in my hand. "Who else are you married to?" I asked calmly. He froze. Just for a second. But that second was enough. "What are you talking about?" he snapped. I placed the documents on the table. "I know everything," I said. "The marriages. The names. The loans." His face changed. The loving husband disappeared. And in his place stood a stranger. He laughed. A cold, empty laugh. "You should have minded your business," he said. That sentence told me everything. He did not apologize. He did not deny it anymore. Instead, he said something that shattered the last piece of my heart. "You women agreed to support me," he said. "I just took advantage of the opportunity." Women. Not wife. Not partner. Women. I stepped back, shaking. "I loved you," I said. He shrugged. "That was your mistake." I packed a small bag that night. As I walked toward the door, he said, "You can leave. But remember, everything you own is tied to me." I stopped. Because suddenly I understood something terrifying. Leaving him would not be easy. And staying would destroy me. As I opened the door, my phone buzzed. A message from one of the other women. "I just found something worse. He is planning another marriage." My breath caught. Because this story was far from over. I did not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face smiling in different weddings. Different women. Different lies. By morning, I had made a decision. I would not cry anymore. I would not beg. And I would not run blindly. If he had turned my life into a scam, then I needed to understand every part of it. I moved into my sister's house quietly. I told the children we were visiting family for a few days. I told them Daddy was busy with work. I did not tell them the truth. Not yet. Every time they asked for him, my heart broke a little more. That same morning, the 4 of us, his wives, created a private group chat. No names. No pictures. Just truth. The woman who sent the message about the new marriage spoke first. "I followed him yesterday," she wrote. "He met a young woman at a jewelry store." My hands shook as I typed. "Are you sure?" "Yes," she replied. "He introduced himself as a widower." A widower. I felt sick. Another woman wrote. "He told me the same story when we met." Then another message came in. "He has already started the paperwork." Paperwork. Marriage paperwork. While I was still drowning in his lies, he was preparing to trap someone new. We agreed to meet again. This time not to cry, but to plan. We met at a small room inside a church compound. No one would suspect us there. We sat in a circle, for women bound by the same betrayal. We need proof, one woman said. Not stories. Proof. She was right. He had documents. Fake names. Fake addresses. We needed something solid. Another woman spoke up quietly. I still have access to his laptop. We all looked at her. He trusts me, she said bitterly. He thinks I'm blind. That night, she logged into his laptop while he slept. She sent screenshots into the group. What we saw made our blood run cold. There were folders. Each folder had a woman's name. Inside each folder were scanned documents, identity cards, marriage certificates, bank statements, loan agreements, property documents, and one more file titled, Rotation Schedule. I felt my chest tighten. It was a calendar. Dates. Locations. Names. He had scheduled his life around us like we were appointments. Monday to Wednesday, one wife. Thursday to Friday, another. Weekends, another. We were not families. We were time slots. But that was not the worst part. There was another folder. Targets. Inside were profiles of women. Their jobs. Their income. Their family background. Notes beside each name. Good saver. Has land inheritance. No strong male relatives. Emotionally vulnerable. I covered my mouth. I had been studied. Chosen. Hunted. The woman with the laptop whispered through voice note. He is not just a liar. He is careful. Very careful. And that scared me. Men like that do not panic easily. Men like that destroy evidence. The next day, something strange happened. He called me. I miss you, he said softly. My body went stiff. Come home, he added. We should talk. I almost laughed. Talk. After everything? I need time, I said calmly. He sighed. You're overreacting, he said. Let's not involve outsiders. Outsiders. That meant the other wives. That meant authorities. That meant truth. That evening, I went to the bank with one of the women. We requested full statements under our names. The officer's face changed as he typed. Ma'am, he said slowly, there are multiple loans here. My heart dropped. How many? I asked. He looked at the screen again. 6. 6 loans. Under my name. Using my signature. My legs almost gave way. The total amount was more than everything I had earned in my life. I realized something terrifying in that moment. If he disappeared tomorrow, I would be the one in debt. I would be the one arrested. I would be the one blamed. That night, he showed up at my sister's house unannounced. I froze when I saw his car outside. How did he find me? I whispered. He knocked politely, like a good husband. My sister opened the door. He smiled at her. I just want to see my wife, he said calmly. I stepped forward. What do you want? I asked. To fix this, he said. You're embarrassing me. Embarrassing him. Not hurting me. Not destroying our family. Just embarrassing him. Return the documents, I said. Remove my name from everything. His eyes hardened. You think you can threaten me? He asked quietly. That was the first time I felt afraid of him. Real fear. As he turned to leave, he leaned close and whispered, You don't know who you're dealing with. Then he walked away like nothing happened. That night, I locked every door. Because I understood something important. This was no longer just a marriage problem. This was dangerous. At midnight, my phone buzzed again. A message from the woman with the laptop. He deleted the targets folder. Another message followed immediately. And Naomi, your name is no longer in the wives folder. My heart stopped. Because I knew exactly what that meant. I was no longer useful to him. And when men like him are done using you, they erase you. Or worse. When I read that message, my hands went numb. He deleted my folder. At first, it sounded small. Just files on a laptop. But I knew what it really meant. In his world, folders were not just storage. They were control. They were value. If my folder was gone, it meant one thing. I had become a problem, not a benefit. And problems are dealt with. I sat on the edge of the bed at my sister's house, staring at the wall while my children slept peacefully beside me. They had no idea. They still believed their father was a good man who loved them. The thought made my chest ache. I whispered to myself, I will not let him ruin them too. The next morning, the group chat exploded with messages. One woman wrote, "He's calling me non-stop." Another said, "He suddenly sent me money." Money. That was his trick. When he sensed danger, he became generous. Another wife typed, "He apologized. He said he made mistakes." We all knew what that meant. He was trying to calm the storm. To divide us. To turn us against each other. We agreed on one rule. No private conversations with him anymore. Everything must be shared. Every message. Every call. Because silence was his greatest weapon. That afternoon, I finally did something I had been avoiding. I told my sister the truth. I sat across from her, my hands folded tightly in my lap. "I think my husband is a criminal," I said. She laughed at first. Then she saw my face. Her smile faded. As I explained everything, the marriages, the loans, the files, her eyes filled with tears. "You loved him," she whispered. "Yes," I said. "And he used that love as a tool." She hugged me tightly. "You're not alone," she said. "We will protect you." For the first time in days, I felt a small sense of safety. 2 days later, the unexpected happened. One of the wives stopped responding. No messages. No calls. Nothing. Panic spread through the group chat. "Has anyone heard from her?" I typed. Hours passed. Then a message came in from an unknown number. It was her. "He knows about the group chat." My heart pounded. "What?" "He took my phone," she wrote. "He said we're ruining his life." Then another message. "I'm scared." After that, silence. That night, I could not breathe properly. My mind ran wild. Had he hurt her? Was she safe? Was he watching us too? I kept checking the window. Every car sound made me jump. This was no longer about betrayal. This was about survival. The next morning, something arrived at my sister's house. A courier envelope. No sender name. Just my name written in bold letters. My sister insisted on opening it with me. Inside was a single paper. A photocopy. My marriage certificate. Across it, written in red ink, was one word. Void. Below it was a note. "You were never legally mine. Stop pretending you matter." My knees gave out. I sat on the floor and cried like a child. 12 years. Erased with a red pen. Minutes later, my phone rang. His name flashed on the screen. I did not answer. Another message came in. "If you keep pushing, things will get ugly." I showed the message to my sister. She did not hesitate. "We're going to the authorities," she said. I was afraid. But I nodded. Because running had not saved me. Silence had not saved me. Only truth could. At the police station, the officer listened quietly. He did not interrupt. When I finished, he leaned back and sighed. "This man is smart," he said. "But not invisible." He asked for evidence. I handed over everything. Screenshots. Bank statements. Messages. Then he said something that chilled me. Do you know how many complaints like this end badly? He asked. I swallowed. Because the women wait too long. That evening, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Naomi, a woman's voice said softly. It was the missing wife. He let me go, she whispered. Are you safe? I asked. For now, she said. But he told me something before I left. My heart raced. What did he say? She hesitated. Then she said the words slowly. He said, "You are the example." My blood turned cold. Example of what? I asked. Her voice shook. What happens when someone tries to expose him? The call dropped. That night, I realized something painful but powerful. He was afraid. Men like him only threaten when they are losing control. And control was slipping from his hands. But before I could feel relief, my phone buzzed again. A new message. From a number I had never seen before. He has filed a complaint against you. My heart stopped. Because now, he was not just hiding. He was attacking. And I had no idea what he accused me of. When I read that message, my whole body went cold. He filed a complaint against me. For a moment, I could not move. I could not think. I could not breathe properly. After everything he had done. After all the lies, the scams, the stolen years. He was the one accusing me. My sister grabbed my phone. What complaint? She asked sharply. I don't know, I whispered. But I know him. He never moves without a plan. Less than 2 hours later, the police called. Ma'am, the officer said calmly. We need you to come in for questioning. Questioning. That word scared me more than shouting ever could. When we arrived at the station, I felt eyes on me. People whispered. People stared. In my heart, I kept asking the same question. How did the victim become the suspect? Inside the small office, the officer slid a file toward me. He says you forged documents, the officer explained. He says you're trying to destroy his name. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was unbelievable. He forged our lives, I said. And now he's calling me a criminal? The officer raised his hand. Let's stay calm, he said. Then he said something that shocked me. He brought documents. My heart skipped. What documents? I asked. The officer opened the file. Marriage certificates. Bank forms. Signed agreements. Some were real. Some were fake. But all of them had my signature. I felt dizzy. He must have copied it, I said. He had access to everything. The officer nodded slowly. That's why we're listening, he said. But we need proof. Proof. That word followed me everywhere. Proof that I was a wife. Proof that I was tricked. Proof that I did not sign away my life willingly. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Not because I was weak, but because I was tired of being strong alone. The next morning, one of the other wives called me. I think I know how he's doing this, she said urgently. She explained that he used different middlemen. Fake lawyers, fake agents, even fake witnesses. People who would disappear after being paid. He plans everything years ahead, she said. He doesn't just scam. He builds traps. I closed my eyes. So many steps. So many lies. That afternoon, the officer called again. We need to speak to you urgently, he said. When I arrived, he looked serious. We found something, he said. My heart pounded. What? He filed the complaint under a different name. A different name. Another one. But the fingerprint matches, he continued. And that is where he made his mistake. For the first time, I felt a small spark of hope. But that hope did not last long. That same evening, one of the wives panicked. He emptied our joint account, she cried over the phone. Everything is gone. Another message came in. He sold the car. Then another. He is packing. He was running. We rushed to his house. The gate was open. The house was empty. Closets cleared. Documents gone. Only one thing remained. A note on the dining table. You should have let it go. I felt my legs weaken. That night, I sat with my children and watched them sleep. I realized something painful. This man did not just steal money. He stole time. He stole trust. He stole peace. And now, he was trying to steal my freedom. Just before midnight, my phone rang again. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Naomi, a man's voice said softly. I know where he is. My heart raced. Who is this? I asked. A friend, he replied. A man who got tired of being used. My hands shook. He is planning to leave the country, the man continued. Tomorrow night. My breath caught. How do you know? I asked. There was a pause. Because I helped him fake the documents, the man said. And I don't want to carry his sins anymore. I swallowed hard. Will you testify? I asked. Yes, he said. But only if you act fast. The call ended. I stared at my phone. This was it. If we moved now, we could stop him. If we waited, he would disappear forever. And just as I stood up to call the officer, a final message came in. He knows you're looking for him. My heart dropped. Because now, it was a race. And I had no idea who would reach the finish line first. That message would not leave my head. He knows you're looking for him. I read it over and over again until the words felt burned into my eyes. If he knew, then he would not hesitate. If he knew, then he would move faster. If he knew, then everyone connected to him was in danger. Including me. Including my children. I did not waste time. I called the officer immediately. There's a witness, I said breathlessly. A real one. He helped my husband fake documents. There was a pause on the line. Can he come in? The officer asked. Yes, I said. But we have to move fast. He's planning to leave the country tomorrow night. The officer's voice changed. Stay where you are, he said. We're escalating this. Within hours, everything moved quickly. Statements were written. Screenshots printed. Calls recorded. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like the truth was running instead of crawling. But fear was still right behind it. That afternoon, the man who called me agreed to meet the police. He looked nervous when I saw him. Thin. Restless. Eyes always moving. I didn't know he was ruining lives, he said quietly. I thought it was just paperwork tricks. The officer leaned forward. How many fake identities did you help him create? He asked. The man swallowed hard. 7, he replied. 7. I felt dizzy. Did you know he was marrying multiple women? The officer asked. The man nodded. Yes, he said. He said it was legal because they were in different states. That lie. That dangerous lie. The officer asked the question I was afraid of. Do you know where he is now? The man hesitated. Then he spoke. He's not hiding, he said. He's at the airport hotel. My heart jumped. He believes he has already won. A plan was formed. Quietly. Carefully. No noise. No warning. If he sensed danger, he would vanish. That evening, I was told to stay home. But I could not rest. I sat on the couch, hugging my knees, staring at nothing. I kept thinking of all the nights I waited for him. All the excuses I believed. All the times I defended him. And now, he was running like a thief in the night. Around 9 p.m., my phone rang. It was him. I froze. My sister looked at me. Don't answer, she whispered. I shook my head. I have to, I said. I answered. Naomi, he said calmly. Why are you doing this? Doing this. As if exposing the truth was a crime. You did this, I replied quietly. All of it. He sighed. You're making things difficult, he said. You know I never meant to hurt you. I almost laughed. You destroyed my life, I said. And you're saying you didn't mean to? There was silence. Then his voice dropped. Listen to me carefully, he said. If you stop now, I'll clear your name. Clear my name. He spoke like a king offering mercy. And if I don't? I asked. His tone changed. Then you will lose more than money. My heart pounded. Is that a threat? I asked. He chuckled softly. Call it advice, he said. The line went dead. That call made one thing clear. He was scared. And dangerous. At midnight, the officer called. We're moving, he said. I held my breath. He's been flagged at the airport, the officer continued. He can't leave yet. Relief flooded my chest. But it did not last. Another call came in minutes later. He slipped away from the hotel, the officer said. We're tracking him. Tracking him. Like a ghost. I did not sleep at all. Every sound outside made my heart jump. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept checking my phone. Waiting. Praying. Just before dawn, my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. I warned you. Attached was a photo. My blood ran cold. It was my sister's house. Taken from across the street. I felt sick. He knew where I was. He had been watching. I screamed for my sister. We locked every door. We turned off the lights. I held my children close. For the first time, I truly feared for our safety. Minutes later, the officer called again. Ma'am, he said urgently. He just tried to cross the border by road. My heart skipped. Did you get him? I asked. There was a pause. No, he said. But we know his direction. I closed my eyes. This was no longer about justice. This was about stopping a man who believed he was untouchable. As the sun rose, exhaustion hit me. My body was weak, but my mind was sharp. I realized something important. He was not running away. He was circling. Looking for one last move. One last way to hurt me. And just as that thought settled in, my phone rang again. A blocked number. I answered with shaking hands. Naomi, his voice whispered. I'm close. My heart stopped. Because in that moment, I didn't know if he meant close to escaping. Or close to me. I'm close. Those two words echoed in my head like thunder. My hands began to shake so badly I almost dropped the phone. Close to where? I asked, forcing my voice to stay calm. He laughed softly. You always ask too many questions, he said. That's why things got complicated. I swallowed hard. Stay away from my family, I said. This is between you and me. There was a pause. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. You should have stayed quiet, Naomi. The line went dead. I stood frozen in the middle of the room. My sister grabbed my shoulders. What did he say? She asked. He's nearby, I whispered. And he's angry. We did not wait. We called the officer immediately. Within minutes, patrol cars were dispatched to the area. But fear does not disappear just because help is coming. Fear sits with you. Breathes with you. I moved my children into the safest room. I locked the doors. I turned off all the lights. Every sound outside felt louder than it should. A dog barking. A car slowing down. Footsteps. My heart raced each time. Then came the knock. Soft. Polite. My sister covered her mouth. I felt my knees weaken. The knock came again. Naomi, a familiar voice called gently. It's me. I felt sick. How did he get here so fast? I did not respond. The voice changed. You're scaring the children, he said. Open the door. That sentence broke something inside me. Using the children. Again. Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. The voice outside cursed under his breath. Looks like you called your friends, he muttered. Footsteps ran. A car engine started. Then silence. I collapsed onto the floor, shaking uncontrollably. The police arrived moments later. They searched the area. They questioned neighbors. But he was gone. Again. The officer looked at me seriously. He's desperate, he said. That makes him unpredictable. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. That same night, something unexpected happened. One of the other wives called me. They arrested him, she whispered. My heart jumped. Are you sure? I asked. Yes, she said. He was stopped at a checkpoint. Relief washed over me so hard I began to cry. But then she added something else. They found fake passports in his bag. Fake passports. Plural. The next morning, I was asked to come in. When I arrived, I saw him for the first time since everything fell apart. He looked different. No confidence. No smile. Just anger. He stared at me like I was the enemy. You ruined everything, he hissed. I looked him in the eye. You did that yourself, I said quietly. The officer laid everything out. Multiple identities. Multiple marriages. Financial fraud. Threats. Witnesses stepped forward. The man who helped fake documents testified. One by one, his lies crumbled. But then, just when I thought it was over, he smiled. A slow, dangerous smile. You think this ends here, he said. You're still tied to me. The officer frowned. What do you mean? He asked. He leaned back calmly. She signed willingly, he said. Every document. I felt my chest tighten. The officer turned to me. Did you know what you were signing? He asked. No, I said. I trusted my husband. He nodded. Trust. That word again. The hearing was postponed. More investigation was needed. And that meant one thing. He would be held. Temporarily. Temporary. That word scared me. As I left the station, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. This is not over. My heart dropped. Because even in custody, he was still reaching me. Still threatening. Still fighting. And I knew something terrible was coming next. Something that would test me more than fear ever had. Because the law moves slowly. And men like him do not. The message would not leave my mind. This is not over. Even with him in custody, I felt like his shadow was still following me. I changed my number. I avoided familiar roads. I stopped sleeping near windows. Fear had become part of my routine. The investigation moved slowly. Too slowly. Paperwork. Interviews. Verification. Every day felt like a test of patience. And every day, I worried about the same thing. What if he gets out? One afternoon, the officer called me back in. We've uncovered more victims, he said. My heart sank. How many? I asked. He hesitated. More than we thought. Women from different cities. Different backgrounds. Same story. Each one believed she was loved. Each one believed she was chosen. Each one was wrong. Then came the worst blow. The officer cleared his throat. He's applying for bail. My hands trembled. On what grounds? I asked. He claims he's being framed by angry women. Angry women. Not victims. Not survivors. Just angry. That night, one of the wives broke down in our group chat. I can't do this anymore, she wrote. My family is blaming me. Another wrote. My job is at risk. Fear was breaking us apart. And that was exactly what he wanted. I sat alone that night and stared at the ceiling. I realized something painful. If we stayed silent, he would win. If we stayed divided, he would walk free. So I made a decision. The next morning, I did something I never imagined I would do. I spoke. I spoke to a journalist recommended by the officer. I told her everything. No names. No faces. Just the truth. The story broke 2 days later. Man accused of multiple marriage fraud scam. The response was overwhelming. More women came forward. More evidence surfaced. And suddenly, he was no longer powerful. He was exposed. But exposure has consequences. That same evening, my sister received a call. A strange man asked about me. Then another call. Then another. People connected to him were moving. Watching. The bail hearing day arrived. I stood in the courtroom with shaking legs. He looked at me and smiled again. Confident. Too confident. The judge listened carefully. Evidence was presented. Witnesses spoke. Then the judge spoke. Bail is denied. I almost collapsed in relief. But just as I thought I could breathe again, the officer leaned toward me. This will get uglier, he warned. He has powerful connections. That sentence scared me more than any threat. That night, I returned home exhausted. As I unlocked the door, something fell from the handle. An envelope. No name. Inside was a photo. My children at school. I screamed. Attached was a note. You cannot hide forever. My legs gave way. Because this time, he didn't need to be free to hurt me. I could not stop shaking. The photo lay on the table like a living thing, staring back at me. My children. Their school uniforms. Their innocent smiles. Someone had followed them. Someone had watched. I felt something inside me snap. This was no longer fear. This was rage. I called the officer immediately. They have pictures of my children, I said, my voice breaking. They are threatening me. His tone changed instantly. Pack a bag, he said. We're moving you tonight. Within an hour, everything changed. Police cars outside. Urgent whispers. Quick decisions. My children thought it was an adventure. I smiled for them. But inside, I was screaming. We were taken to a safe location. No address. No familiar faces. Just white walls and locked doors. Safety felt strange. Quiet. Heavy. That night, I did not sleep. I kept replaying every moment of my marriage in my head. Every smile. Every promise. How could someone who kissed my children goodnight plan something like this? Then the truth hit me harder than ever before. He was never a husband. He was never a father. He was an actor. And we were his roles. The next morning, the officer returned with news. We traced the photo, he said. My heart raced. It was taken by a private investigator, he continued. One hired recently. Hired by who? I asked. He looked at me carefully. Not him, he said. Someone else. My stomach dropped. Someone else who? I whispered. One of his associates, the officer replied. A woman. A woman. My mind raced. One of the wives? One of the targets? Or someone completely new? That afternoon, the group chat lit up again. One wife wrote, I think he turned someone against us. Another said, he promised her protection. Divide and conquer. That was his final game. Then came the call. A familiar female voice. You ruined everything, she said angrily. I recognized it. One of the wives. You're destroying our chances, she continued. He promised to fix my debts if I helped him. I felt sick. He's using you, I said quietly. He will abandon you too. She laughed bitterly. At least he chose me. That sentence hurt more than any threat. The call ended. I sat there in silence. This man had not just stolen our lives. He had turned us against each other. That was his greatest weapon. Days passed. Court dates were set. Evidence piled up. But the threats did not stop. Different numbers. Different voices. Same message. Withdraw your statement. Think about your children. Be smart. Then something unexpected happened. The journalist called me. We received anonymous documents, she said. Hard copies. What kind? I asked. Original ledgers, she replied. Detailed records of payments, marriages, bribes. My heart skipped. That was impossible. Those documents were supposed to be gone. Who sent them? I asked. She paused. The sender used a public drop, she said. But there was a note. What did it say? I whispered. He's planning to disappear again, she said. And this time, he won't run alone. My breath caught. What do you mean? I asked. Before she could answer, my phone buzzed. A new message. A photo. Him. Inside a room I recognized. The safe location. Below it were 4 words that made my blood freeze. I know where you are. My phone slipped from my hand. Because now, I understood something terrifying. The danger was not outside. It was already inside. When I saw that photo, my heart stopped. It was real. The same white walls. The same narrow hallway. The same corner near the security desk. He knew where I was. Which meant only one thing. Someone inside had betrayed us. I screamed for the officer. Within minutes, the building went into lockdown. Doors sealed. Phones checked. Guards questioned. My children clung to me, confused and scared. Mama, what's wrong? My youngest asked. I forced a smile through tears. Nothing, my love, I whispered. Mama's got you. But inside, I knew this was the most dangerous moment of my life. The officer returned, his face pale. We found the leak, he said. My chest tightened. Who? I asked. He took a breath. A junior staff member, he replied. He was paid. Even now, my life was just money to him. The staff member was arrested immediately. Phones seized. Messages recovered. And there it was. Proof. My husband, no, that man, had been directing everything from custody. Using visitors. Using favors. Using fear. But he made one final mistake. He left a trail. That same night, everything collapsed for him. The ledgers given to the journalist went public. Names. Dates. Amounts. The story exploded. More victims came forward. More witnesses spoke. Banks froze accounts. Properties were seized. The system he built for years crumbled in days. At the emergency court hearing, I stood tall. My hands shook, but my voice did not. I told the judge everything. The love. The lies. The fear. I did not cry. I wanted them to see me clearly. Not as a victim, but as a survivor. When it was his turn to speak, he looked small. No smile. No confidence. Just anger. She's lying, he said weakly. They all are. The judge looked at him calmly. Evidence does not lie, she replied. Then she delivered the words I will never forget. You abused trust. You abused marriage. You abused the law. She denied every appeal. And then, she sentenced him. When I heard the sentence, my legs gave way. Not from weakness. From relief. Years of lies ended in one moment of truth. The weeks that followed were not easy. My name was cleared. The debts were reviewed. Some were cancelled. Not all damage can be undone. But justice gave me space to breathe again. I moved to a new home. A quiet place. A place filled with light. My children started smiling again, laughing again. And one night, as I watched them sleep peacefully, I realized something important. I was never stupid. I was never weak. I was human. And he used that against me. Today, I am rebuilding my life slowly, carefully, honestly. I no longer confuse control with love. I no longer confuse silence with peace. And if you are watching this story right now, if something in your heart feels familiar, please listen to me. Love should not make you afraid. Marriage should not erase you. And trust should never cost you your freedom. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell so you never miss another powerful, emotional story like this. Also, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Your voice matters here. And remember, sometimes, the greatest escape is finally seeing the truth.